So it's finally time to talk about Star Trek V. There's a pretty wide range of opinions on the other original series movies, but the people know how they're supposed to feel about number 5. It's the bad one. The one we don't like. I, of course, don't agree. My mantra here is that each Star Trek series and movie is good. And while it's not perfect, The Final Frontier is no exception. But this is not a review of Star Trek V. I want to talk about the absolute joy that is the camping scenes at the beginning of the movie, which are perfect. After an intro with Spock and the dirt guy, there's an extended sequence where Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? Because you've got opening credits to get through. And after a few minutes of Kirk being a rugged individual, hey, Bones is there. And then, whoa, Spock is there. That's right. The main three all got together to go camping over shore leave, and it's just more wonderful than you could possibly imagine. My everyday life is filled with Star Trek movie quotes, and I swear half of them are from this scene.
In that case, I have little choice but to sample your beans.
It's a perfect encapsulation of the dynamic between these characters that's been at the heart of the series since the 60s. These guys have known each other for over 20 years at this point, and we know them just as well. For a big adventure series like Star Trek, you get to see the characters go through conflict and turmoil, and you really get to see what they're made of. In the recent past of these old friends, they fought a vengeful madman, Spock died and left his spirit in McCoy, then they blew up the Enterprise, getting Spock back from a planet that was exploding. Then, before they could get home, they had to go back in time to romance a whale biologist and save the Earth. It was a lot. After all that, it's great to see these guys just hanging out for a little bit. Sitting around the campfire, talking about life, and roasting the marshmallow.
What do we do after we toast the marshmallow?
We consume them.
When the conversation starts getting heavy,
Other people have families.
Other people, Bones, not us.
Spock brings out his real-life craft-branded marshmallow dispenser because a good friend knows when to lighten the mood. And then the sing-along, oh my god.
Moon over Rigel 7.
Row your boat.
Row your boat. I love row. Do you know row your boat?
Do you know row your boat? Oh, and then they go to sleep, and that scene ends with this incredible line.
Good night, Jim.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Why is this so good? It's kind of hard to analyze this scene because it flows so naturally, while also establishing all the key details about the three of them to set them up to be collectively the main character. Look, I would argue that for the rest of the original cast movies, Jim Kirk is the protagonist. But The Final Frontier is, at its core, a celebration of the Kirk-Spock-McCoy dynamic. The main character is all three of them. After they return to the Enterprise and the plot kicks into gear, they're still together for pretty much every second. Until the very end of the movie, there isn't a scene with any one of them that doesn't also include the other two. When Spock opens up to Kirk about Spock, Bones is there too. The captain's going on a Navy SEALs hostage rescue. Gotta bring Spock and McCoy. When Spock hijacks the ship, he throws Kirk and McCoy in the brig and tells Spock he doesn't have to go. But he goes with them anyway.
The bond between these three is strong, difficult to penetrate. This will be quite a challenge.
Then they're all locked in the brig together. After Scotty breaks them out, Spock does leave momentarily for some off-screen tactical espionage action before returning with rocket boots, implying that he can easily move through the ship. But what's the point of saving the day if you don't have your bros with you?
Bones?
You two go ahead. I'll wait for the next car.
We're not splitting up.
The bad guy successfully brainwashes McCoy, but he's still like, nah, I'm good. I'll stay here with these guys. The only time the trio really separates is the very end of the movie, when the Enterprise only has power to beam up two of them, so Kirk sends the other two and is left to fight the big blue face by himself. And Spock still finds his way back after like 2 minutes. One of my other big fandoms is Final Fantasy, an RPG series known for its complex stories with twists and turns and big casts of characters. But one of the most controversial entries is Final Fantasy XV, A game about going on a road trip with your friends. There's also a story going on about the prince of a fallen kingdom recovering the strength of his ancestors and making pacts with literal gods, but it really takes a back seat to hanging out with your three friends. The plot is there, it's just not all that important. And it doesn't have to be. That's what Star Trek V is for me. It's a hangout movie, and the plot is there to give just enough context to get to the next scene with these characters all playing off each other. Maybe the plot is full of holes, but who cares? That's not the point. The point is friends sitting around a campfire, talking about life, and roasting the marshmallow. And at that, it absolutely succeeds. So I guess this actually was a review of Star Trek V. Whoops. When I started this, I wasn't counting on the camping scene being the entire movie. But it is. It's a breezy, fun 80s action comedy. The tone is very similar to Star Trek IV, but by 1989, the Next Generation was doing the very serious Star Trek quite nicely on television. And the ending?
What does God need with a starship?
Is just dynamite cinema. So you know what? I do defend this movie. I am a Star Trek V defender. Personally, I think it gets a bad rap. I don't expect to change anybody's mind about it. I just want you to know why I love it. And if you don't agree, you know what? That's fine. That's totally fine. You're allowed to have your own opinions. Never let anyone tell you your feelings are wrong. Oh wait, I forgot the most important part of the camping scenes. Sulu and Chekhov. We catch them in the middle of their own buddy comedy movie where they're lost in the woods? As a kid, I always assumed they were also at Yosemite, but they clearly aren't with the boys. All I can say with confidence is they are on the planet Earth, somewhere, with no supplies. I think Sulu is in a bathrobe? What kind of hijinks have they been up to? Maybe a mama bear mistook them for her cubs and they had to sneak out of her cave while she was sleeping? Oh, maybe they met a mysterious old woman who gave them a treasure map.